Bum, bum, bum. Whoa, hey, welcome to the Weekly Pulse with Tina and Jeff and Dr. Marcus Alvarado.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We told him we could do an intro, and he did.
Yeah, we gave him full control.
You may use that for future episodes.
Welcome, Dr. Marcus.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you. And today we're just kind of going off the cuff a little bit. Tina's favorite thing to do. We like to talk about overcoming our fears and things that make us uncomfortable.
Yep.
If you can see Tina right now, she's squirming in her seat a little bit because we don't have any show notes for today really at all.
No.
So we're just going to have a little conversation about a couple topics and we're going to see what happens.
I'm confident it's still going to be a really good episode. So I'm not even a little worried, just slightly.
Yeah. Well, we have the right
slightly,
just
a little. I don't know.
So we'll see what this.
Yeah, Marcus could talk about anything.
Well, what are we talking about today? Let's start
Marcus,
there.
You had a couple ideas, so why don't you kick us off with what you wanted to?
Yeah.
start
So
with?
a couple things. I mean, definitely injury prevention. A lot of times people are questioning, hey, if I have this issue, should I keep working out or should I not? And then definitely, weight loss is always a hot topic. So some conservative ways that people can take action on to make sure they're maximizing not only their time here at the gym, but the things they're doing outside the gym to really get the best results that they're looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like whenever you mentioned weight loss, I was like, God, you know what? It's actually a good idea because people are thinking it. We don't talk about it very often. So this would be nice to give our perspective on weight loss, how we deal with that conversation with our clients.
Yep.
And relay that message so people can kind of have an expectation if they ever did or were interested in a little bit more on how we handle that. So
what, when a person does come in and they're, of course they're here and their main driver is weight loss. What's kind of the first thing you might say to that person to start the conversation?
Yeah. So people that do put that, generally speaking, we like to try to find out why people are coming in, before they even step foot in the door. When we're having that conversation is, what is it? What are the kind of 3 to 5 things that you're really looking for? And why is it important that you make these changes? Mm-hmm. So if somebody does say weight loss, then we have to get to the reason why that's actually important.
Yeah. Everyone says weight loss, right?
Everybody says weight loss, but the truth of it is that is not the number one reason anybody's actually coming in here. Yes, that's the easy answer to say. Mm-hmm. That's the very soft answer, the first thing that comes to their mind. It's the surface level stuff. But after we have a good conversation, generally speaking, I would say at least 90% of the time, we find out weight loss is not why they're really here.
Yeah. What happens is we get like you said, the surface, like, oh, I want to get healthy. I want to lose weight. I think I would feel better if I lost weight. And there is some truth to that answer because they will feel better if we can drop some weight. But what they're really searching for is that feeling of feeling better. And it might not involve weight loss, or it might.
Yeah.
But getting them to see outside of that and become aware that there's more to a healthy lifestyle than weight loss, that's where we want to dig into that why, so that they can actually see that there's steps along the way to weight loss and to that path, but you're going to feel better along the way. And that's what you really want, is to feel better. But you don't know it yet because you're just searching for that one single result, which when someone's searching for just the single result, that's when we run into a lot of trouble because they are having trouble seeing the left or the right or the path that, gets them to that, because that's they just want the number to change. Right.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I think also it comes to if you're looking for a broad result, or I guess I would change the way I say it. If you have a target that's really wide and you don't know exactly where on the target you're aiming for, then you don't know how to get to that target or how to hit where you want to hit. But if you kind of boil down, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for and this is why I'm looking for that, then you can easily get there. So people think, oh, weight loss. Well, maybe if they're thinking, you ask your viewers to think, what's the deeper question? Think deeper as to, okay, what would that look like in your life if you achieve this goal? Then you can make more specific objectives to get there.
Yeah. And, again, I understand why people say weight loss because it's a very easy measurable thing.
Yeah.
It's a number. So it's, a statistic, but the problem is the biggest problem is when they get stuck on that, and that is the number one driver. Like Tina was kind of saying, they lose focus on all the other stuff that's happening around them.
Yeah, they fail to see the wins in anything else if those three numbers don't change.
You know, and how many times I've asked people, like, how many times have you kicked ass with your workout, you're eating better, you're feeling great, so you get curious. Well, what's that scale say? So they hop on, and it didn't give the result they were looking for or expected.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, they don't feel so good anymore. They don't feel so happy. All those things that they literally were just thinking 30 seconds before they got on that scale, just out the window.
Wiped out.
Just totally trash it, even though they just believed whatever they did was great. So that's where we try to help people understand is like, and strip that scale away for a bit of time so they can truly understand what feeling good, because weight loss is no guarantee. We can do all the right things and you lose weight some weeks and some weeks you don't. And our body responds differently. There's so many factors that go into it: stress, sleep, nutrition, and exercise.
There's so many tools for weight loss too. And that's, people get stuck on, they want to just use the one tool that always worked, or the new shiny one. And that's another thing that we have to try to strip away, is be like, this is going to work how it's going to work when it all comes together in the pieces, when we put them all together the right way. But just keeping a laser focus on one thing or one tool or one result is a surefire, it's a recipe for disaster in your mind specifically. Because when you get to that part, like Jeff said about stepping on the scale and it didn't say what you wanted it to, you're likely to say things like, screw it, or Jeff, you can
fuck it.
There you go. But you're likely to do stuff like that. And then now you're back to square one, because you might quit for a period of time because you didn't see something fast enough.
Right.
And the weird thing is they always go back to the same story of like, well, this is what worked. But it didn't work because you're right back to where you are. Like if we looked at it like the stock market, you may have, went way up, but then came way back down. Nothing worked. You're still, you have the same amount of money as you did before, or with weight.
Right.
You're here, you lost 20 pounds, but then you gained the 20 pounds back. Clearly it didn't work because you're at the exact same as you were at your starting point.
Right.
But people get fixated on that point when they were down and assuming that was the way. So we have to, dissect that and get away from that. So weight loss is a really challenging thing, and that's why we really try to get away from it. But the good thing is when we get people away from it for a long enough period of time, and we change and we focus on just changing the habits and the things that make us feel good, well, guess what naturally starts to happen?
Yeah.
Start to lose some weight.
And the great thing is if you're able to focus on multiple things, as if what Tina said, instead of just one thing, if you focus on multiple areas, increasing water, better sleep, exercising, those will have compounding effects. And you're going to start to have better results. And it takes a little time to get the routine, get things going. But once you get that down, you'll definitely start seeing the changes you're looking for. Yeah.
And that's what, that's the biggest thing we, strive to show people. It's just, it can be a little bit, it's patience.
Yeah.
Even though it's really not even a long time for most people. Well, it seems like, oh man, it took me 2 or 3 months to get the ball rolling. Well, has anything stopped? No, but in their mind, 3 months was forever.
Right.
It's like, we've been carrying this weight for 3 years.
Yeah. And once they get the ball rolling and they can continue to grow and change, and they continue to set new goals and find new focuses to, look towards, it becomes this never-ending snowball. It can just keep rolling, and they look back on that part of their journey. And I can say that from just experience myself. Like I can look back on a journey where I lost weight, and it was like, wow, I learned so much about myself. And yes, that was a painful, difficult thing that I went through. And I don't mean that like, I wasn't in danger of anything.
Sure.
But it was still, going through that, just thinking about it mentally, like I learned so much about myself that I'm glad I went through that. It had taught me so much that I would have never learned if I would have just said, here, Tina, here's your result. This is you now. I wouldn't have learned one thing about what that meant about me. And that's the biggest lesson that I could say that I learned, is that it changed my mindset.
Yes.
And so we can change people's mindset about it. That's a big thing too.
So that's what I would ask is, for those clients of yours that have reached that point, right, where they've gotten results consistently, and they're they're getting to a point closer to where they want to be. What's the realization that person says or has verbalized to you is that's going to keep them going forward and not go back to where they were?
So this is so funny that you said that. I had somebody message me yesterday because we started our nutrition summit this week, and we had everybody set a goal. And we have several members of our gym that are in the summit. And one of the ladies has gone to the transformation program with me. And the transformation program for her has been life-changing because the things that it took her 50 tries to start and stay with, she's staying with it. And it's been 18 months or more. I can't doing math really quickly, and I'm really bad at math. Yeah. So don't question me. Yeah, I don't have any notes right now, but this is very relevant. She sent me a message because we were setting a SMART goal. And she said, everything feels so good right now. Does this mean I'm stuck? And I wrote her back, I'm like, no, this means you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was like, I can get chills saying that right now because it was like, she was like, does this mean I'm stuck? I'm like, oh, no, quite the opposite. This means that your mindset is ready for more.
Yes.
And we dug a little deeper, and guess what? She found her SMART goal and she's working towards it. But yes, that's when someone verbalizes it like that. It's just amazing. And it's a feeling you just can't quite describe.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I get to, check out this room every day in this wall that we just got done. So for those who've seen it,
it looks great.
All the people on this wall have been through this journey, and, we stay in touch and we see them all the time still. And just like what they talk about is totally different now. The things they're going to do, the hikes they're going to do, the adventures they're taking, that's when we know we got it. When it has nothing to, like, their life is no longer revolved around like, how am I going to eat this week? How am I going to, figure this nutrition thing out? How am I going to figure out how to get water? But now their life is like, well, this is what hike I'm going to do. This is what race I'm excited to go do. This is what trip our family is going to do. And when they're starting to talk about life experiences and not focus on anything other than just what life looks like, that's when we know we're in a really good spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting, this story wall that I look in here and I see all the stories, and I think of how the trajectory of these people's lives have changed. What may have started as a weight loss journey has molded into something totally different, which has positively impacted their life and the trajectory of that life. And you can't put a price on that, of just changing the filter that you had and striving to be better. And it's just, it's powerful what can be done.
Yeah. So, I hope that kind of answers your question about what we think about weight loss. Yeah. I guess you probably get the same question though. Like, I assume people talk about it, or
people are always curious. It's always something that we struggle with. 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese, and it's definitely an epidemic that we have here in our country. And so these are conversations that we have, and why we don't focus primarily on weight loss. There are definitely a lot of different things that people can do to maximize their weight loss program that they may already be on. Because I wouldn't want to half-ass a program like that. So just to say, oh, hey, take this supplement and check it in a month is just not something that we could do, which is why we guide a lot of people over here to work with you guys, because it's deeper than any program anyone, I imagine, has ever done in this area. It's guided, it's supported, and it's the psychological component, which is really what you're battling when it comes to weight loss. So big things, there's a lot of research to show the amount of sleep has big impacts. So people who don't sleep well, a simple thing you can do for weight loss is just try to get close to that 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and making sure you stay in that sleep routine. So people, when you don't get adequate sleep, you have different hormone changes that occur that make it more challenging to sleep. Another thing in the morning, like a lot of people are working out, sometimes they get tired in the evening times, or when they do sleep, they wake up and they first reach for coffee. So one thing that people do is within the first 30 minutes of waking up, they go straight to coffee, and it actually gives you an artificial sense of being awake instead of a natural sense. And those are people who come into our office, they're like, man, I'm too tired in the evening to work out because I've just felt like this crash. And what happens is that when you consume this coffee, it stimulates you, but it's artificial stimulation. Basically, you have these adenosine receptors that aren't able to latch on to tell you that you're sleepy, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And then once the coffee wears up, it just hits you hard. And those are the people that have those afternoon crashes. So giving yourself at least 60 to 90 minutes, ideally being awake, having some water, some electrolytes, and then after that time, consuming your coffee can help you be more energized later in the day and not have that crash. So a lot of people experience that.
This is bad news for the coffee drinkers.
Yeah.
Wah, wah,
I
wah.
actually
Not one of them
heard
here.
this on a podcast recently, and I
Yeah.
shared it with Bill, and he's not on board with
Sure.
waiting for the coffee.
Yeah.
Even though I explained to him, you did it better than I
Yeah,
did, but
yeah.
I explained to him that, and he's just like, yeah, no,
The thing is, you
I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have some coffee.
yeah. I mean, you can, and that's what
My wife was not. She's not going to be on board with that either.
So these people they'll like I drink coffee myself. I almost don't go a day without coffee. But now I've definitely pushed it off to not get that crash later in the day. But you can only fight your physiology so much. You know, it's going to win. But these people, what'll happen is that you'll drink coffee and you'll hit that crash, so you'll drink more coffee. And once you start getting over a certain amount, you know, usually over 400 milligrams of caffeine, then your cortisol levels shoot up. So this is more the physiology of it. Your cortisol shoots up, which is also a stress response. So you'll start hanging on to more fat. You'll start being in this more like those people like, oh, if I drink too much coffee, I get anxious. Well, that's your cortisol shooting up. You'll start to retain more fat and it'll be more problematic for you. So those people, I try to encourage them to try to postpone that coffee, that first cup, a little bit later, if possible. Natural sunlight exposure is really helpful. It can wake you up and stimulate you. And then for women, especially over 40, increasing your protein intake. The more protein you have, the less hungry you're going to be later in the day. So trying to get little protein snacks. I mean, I see you guys snacking on your protein all the time when we're here. But that's a simple way just to keep your satiety in check throughout the day, which can contribute to your weight loss issues.
Yeah, no, sleep is like, one of those real overlooked categories when people
Definitely.
think about their weight loss. They don't, sleep's probably number 8 or 9 on the list of reasons why they think that but a lot of it comes back to, we kind of talked about it over the last 2 weeks, is stress kind of leading up to the lack of sleep, and lack of sleep just has this domino effect of negativity that happens because we're lack of sleep. So
Yeah.
it's a huge snowball effect.
It really is. And that's like you can directly measure, you don't sleep well, you wake up, you consume caffeine to make yourself more awake. And then again, cortisol is going to move up. That's going to cause you to retain more fat. And then you consume more coffee, and then it just...
Poor decision making because you're tired.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Too tired to work out, so blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's just this full circle
It
thing.
really
that
is. It
goes.
really is.
Do you have any other tips? Because I like all those. So what I really like about what you're saying is anybody listening can take stock of what they're doing right now in regards to sleep, in regards to caffeine in the morning, in regards to their protein intake. These are all things that you can just do right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't have to go buy anything. You don't have to do anything. You can just have that honest conversation with yourself and be like, am I getting the sleep?
Yeah.
Can I see where my protein is in my day? Do I start my morning slugging caffeine?
Yep.
So any other ones? Because those are good.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows, exercising, strength training is crucially important, and it has compounding effects whenever you're, consuming protein. So when your body's getting this protein, it's hard to create protein in the body on its own. So whenever you consume protein, it really utilize that and hangs on to it, and so eating that protein can help to maintain your muscle mass. So especially as you get older, your body will keep your muscle strong just by consuming protein. So that's why, especially women, if you're not consuming enough protein in your day, you're missing out on your muscle gains, essentially.
Okay.
And then the other one is just strength training. So whether it's, high weights, low weights, whatever reps, you just got to expose that muscle tissue to some kind of stress, some kind of resistance. And that done cumulatively has a lot of really good benefits, which women, a lot of times they're concerned with osteoporosis, or osteopenia. So it's a weakening of the bone structure, the bony matrix. And the number one way to maintain that is weight-bearing exercise. So what happens is that as you use your muscles, they tug on the bone. So there's what's called Wolff's Law, which states that as bones are being pulled on, they're going to reinforce with more bone. So as you exercising, and the muscles which attach to your bones as they are tugging, it stimulates that bone to stay strong. So I know a lot of women, they do like to do, for instance, like go walking and things like that. That can be helpful, but if like walking with weights is going to be more helpful. Body weight exercises are really effective. Some people will do like aqua aerobics and things like that. And while it is excellent for cardiovascular health, increasing your heart rate, for the weight bearing exercise, because it's so light, you're going to be missing out on a lot of bone strengthening if you're not doing weight bearing exercise on land. So the combination of the two would ideally be best.
Yeah. So what are the benefits of cardio then?
Oh, absolutely. So those are going to, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, keeping those in check. A lot of heart disease, number one cause of death in the United States right now. So you want to do things to keep your heart healthy. So not only eating, but proper exercise to make the heart work, but not enough to, you're going to pass out. So, but those people who are in the pool, I mean, it's really easy, especially people who have like really severe arthritis where weight bearing exercise is uncomfortable, getting in the pool, moving your body, moving your joints, it's going to reward you. And also the social aspect, going to some of those classes, you make a lot of friends. You have that accountability because those people are looking at you when you're not there and think, hey, you missed class yesterday. What were you doing? And so there's tons of benefits. And then just stress relief. When you move your body rewards you. It's dopamine and serotonin release that make you feel good for doing that. That's your reward. And when you can do it with other people, it's even more exacerbated. So you feel even better doing it.
We know that at Pulse. That's what we do. That's what we do all day, every day.
That's
everybody,
right.
you walk in here, they're coming in here and they're having a good time and they're getting all the benefits of some cardio and strength exercises every time they walk in. So
you guys need to get a pool in here, and then Jeff up there in the Speedo, or Josh, right? And
that's the summer plans, is to get the rooftop pool done.
Right? Yeah, we really get some attention. Right?
It would just be working out
the
right
bikinis
outside.
out, Tina, right?
Yes.
Coconuts.
I can't. Well, I'm just waiting for we have had some leaking roof problems, so I'm just wondering what happens when the pool leaks.
Pool won't leak.
The pool's not going to leak.
Pool will never leak. No.
Seal it up. Should be good.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some injury prevention. Obviously, that's your expertise, injury prevention, or when people do get injured, they need to talk to Dr. Marcus.
Absolutely.
And I was one of those people today.
Yeah. So yes, you were. And I'm not gonna say more than that because
I never have to talk to Marcus.
I give you full. You can say whatever you need to say.
Oh gosh,
it's fine.
I don't have to see Marcus. I'm not suffering from any injuries, and I typically do not.
Well, I went a little hard today this morning.
Oh, okay.
Blaze pods, right?
Got a little competitive. My cousin was here. I couldn't possibly let her beat me, so it was game on.
Yeah, you definitely can't let her win. So when injury, majority of people are going to experience an injury at some point in their exercise journey, and the way that you handle it can have long-term effects, whether detrimental or beneficial, depending on how you go about it. A lot of times what people do is they'll experience an injury, they'll stop doing any activity, and during that time, a few things will happen. Physiologically, the muscle tissue is going to start to atrophy and get weaker. So it will heal, but it's going to heal back weaker than it was prior to an injury. So if you're not strengthening that muscle during the healing process, then it's going to heal back weaker. The second thing that happens when somebody doesn't use a certain body area, let's call it a shoulder. If you don't use your shoulder for a while, your brain, the neurons that control it, are going to start to weaken. So basically, normally, if every day you drive the same way to work and you've done it 1,000 times, you can wake up and mindlessly drive to work and you get there and you're like, man, I don't remember driving here. Oh, well, I'm here, so it's good. Well, imagine that pattern becomes a little darker, that the lights are off on the road and you kind of know the general direction of where you're going, but it's not as clear. So when you stop using an area of your body, that part of your brain is going to start to weaken and it's going to start to struggle a little bit. So when you try to go back to doing your exercise, now that area of the body, the shoulder, is less coordinated. Your brain is less coordinated using it than it was prior to the injury, which is why when you do have an injury, you want to continue to utilize that area properly with a right amount of load. So if this is what the tissue can tolerate, you want to push that to its limits but not surpass it, right? And then going through the movements of the arm and shoulder just to kind of, again, keep your brain and those neurons fresh of how to use it. versus just, oh, well, I hurt my arm. I'm gonna, people say baby it, I don't like to use that term, but you're just gonna, let it rest. You're definitely gonna have problems down the road. Or people will develop compensations. They'll say, oh, well, I started having this problem, this pain, and then it kind of just went away and I didn't do anything about it. And then it comes back again a week or two later, but then it goes away again. So those are usually compensations that people are developing. They're figuring out a way to use or move their body in a way that doesn't use that tissue, and that causes the pain to go away. But over time, your compensations can only last so long, because then eventually the tissue who's compensating is going to start having issues, which is why a lot of time patients will come in and they'll say, oh, I have this elbow issue. And if you just focus on the elbow, you're going to miss the neck or shoulder issue that they have. And so you always have to look at the chain or the whole area and kind of think, okay, well, when did this really start? I had a new patient right before I came, and he was telling me about this numbness that he had in his hands and his fingers. And he said, it started about 2 months ago, came back, went away, and now it's really worse. It's his whole arm. And come to find out, the source of the issue is actually his neck. He's been having this neck tension. He has this new grandson that he's been looking down at for hours, when they take care of him. And so while he was coming in for a hand numbness and a weakness issue, the source of the issue was actually at his neck. And so when it comes to injury, it's just, always trying to stay active, stay moving with it. So kind of evaluate, the severity of your injury, which can be tough if you don't know.
I have a question because I witnessed this with people I know. What about when you have an injury that you ignore and you push through? Like, it's hurting, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
What happens there?
Yep. So a lot of things can happen in that instance. Again, you're going to develop very strong compensatory patterns. So when people start doing an exercise, they might sacrifice proper form to avoid the pain. So now you're doing an exercise incorrectly and you're training your body, hey, this is how I want to do this exercise. So for instance, I would give an example. If you twist your ankle, and we've all seen somebody with a limp with a twisted ankle. Well, if that person just continue to push through it and walk with that altered gait for the rest of their life, they're going to have so many issues, because not only have you avoided using your ankle the way it's supposed to, but now you're walking all cattywampus. I wanted to throw that word in there. It's a fun one. And you're going to start to develop issues on the other side in your low back, because now this altered gait is become your new norm. You're like, oh, I'm just going to push through it. I'm just going to walk this way, and this is going to be my new norm. Well, now you've completely changed how you've trained your body how to work, how to operate in a completely awry way that you're bound to have issues down the road. And then now that is going to cause you to more issues with other exercise, other movements. And then now you have to continue the modifications. Well, now I'm not going to do the exercise this way. I'm going to do it this way. And so you're missing out on the potential that your body has to keep stronger, because you're trying to power through the pain. Now, I will say, in some instances when we're rehabbing patients, a little pain is necessary, but pain long-term, chronic pain, is a B to treat, because now it's not just the tissue you're treating. Now it's the neurology that has to be rewired. It's like trying to take a patient or a client of yours who has a fixed idea about why they can't lose weight. I can't lose weight because I'll never eat a vegetable. I can't lose weight because I can never get up before 6 a.m. I can't lose weight because my kids are always going to need me and I can't get around it. Well, that's a fixed idea that they have. So now, not just are you trying to change their routine physically with what they're doing day to day, but also mentally you have to rewire that, and you know how challenging that is.
It is, and they're missing out on doing things they love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so watching someone miss out on doing an activity they really enjoy because they are missing that part where they're getting the proper treatment or doing the proper things to rehab it.
Yeah.
They're missing out on things they love, and that sucks.
There's
That's
a
a B to watch.
Have you ever heard anybody say, "Well, I'm just old"? That's why I'm hurt. I'm just old. That's
every
why.
Day.
Have you ever heard that?
It sucks to get old.
Yeah, it sucks to get old, but it also sucks when you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It sucks to not eat right. It sucks to not exercise. It sucks to not consume enough water. I mean, to say you're just old is, you have all these body parts, and you have all these tissues that are there for you to utilize and to make better, and to neglect them, yeah, they're not going to treat you right. If you drive a car like full pedal to the metal every time you get in it, and you don't change the oil, and you don't rotate the tires, and you don't balance things, it's not going to run well. But if you do those things regularly, you can get a lot out of this car. And then the problem is a lot of these people who say, well, I'm just old, they usually hang out with people who are making those excuses. And I always encourage my patients who are around those people, look, just because they sit around and play cards for 8 hours a day and they don't get up and they don't move and they don't walk, yeah, they feel old because they're aging faster. You know, they're going to age faster if you don't treat your body well, if you don't do the right things. But if you do the right things, you take care of your body, you know, you can age beautifully. You just have to make the decision, put in the effort.
Yeah, there's some really nice old cars on the road.
There are, absolutely. It's, you know, you come to the square on a summer day and they're
some beautiful cars.
They're out there,
Yeah.
hoods up, they're showing it all.
They are. But I like this. It's proactive, right?
Absolutely.
Proactive, not reactive. Like,
yeah, these things are they're tough, they're challenging. It is tough to wake up and do the things that you know are right, but you get to live a life that others don't because you're doing those things.
yeah, and to me, it'd be tough to wake up and not be able to do the things that I want to do. That sounds a lot worse than
Oh gosh.
the
Exercising.
other one.
Yeah,
that
right?
sounds a lot worse than the other one.
And
Yeah.
it's finding those, and it's meeting those people where they're at, right? I mean, we all know that every person that walks in our door, we need to find out by asking a series of questions. Where are you at physically? Where are you at mentally? And then meet them where they're at to make it a simple step. You know, learning always occurs on a gradient, and your body changes happen on a gradient. And it's finding the right exercise, the right approach for that person, that client, and then just walking up with them together to help reach their goals.
I got another question for you. You know, we come across this, or I know I come across it quite a bit. How many times have people walked in your door and said they've had an injury for who knows how long?
Yep.
So what's the recommended amount of time you suggest when somebody first feels some pain to when they should come in and visit?
So generally speaking, I would, if you had to just blanket everything, I would probably say about a week. A week, you should notice it's getting better, it's feeling better. Every issue, musculoskeletal wise, every issue is a little different, but most things, if they're going to get better on their own, within a week, you're going to know.
Okay.
But if a patient comes in, they're like, yeah, you know, like the new patient I had before I came here, 2 months he's been having this issue. And when it started, which is usually how it goes, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. But you let something go untreated, or you try to medicate and cover up the symptoms, and you don't fix the main problem, well, then it just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And now what would have been a small issue to fix is now this huge issue. And I give two analogies to explain this to people. You know, if you were standing out in a forest and you lit a match and you threw it down on some dried leaves, you've got a small little fire right there. And if you walked up to that fire and you stomped it out with your feet right there, the fire's gone, it's done. But what a lot of people do is they'll throw the match, they'll turn around, and they'll ignore it. They'll say, it's just a small fire, it's not a big deal, and they'll look at other things and distract themselves, and then eventually they'll turn back around, and now they've got this huge forest fire. And this forest fire is not going to be put out by you stomping it out with your little feet anymore. You're going to need a lot more to put out that fire. So when you have a small issue, it's always best to address it then, because you can fix it a lot quicker. When you wait and put it off and procrastinate, or you sometimes medicate, you do other things and you just let it go, and then you come back months later and you're like, hey, this has been going on for 3 months, 5 months, a year. Well, it's so much harder to fix, because now you not only have that little problem that was there originally, but now you've got the bigger problem that's the compensations and all of that.
I like that one.
I
That's
like that a
I've
lot,
never heard
too.
that analogy. That's good.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought of that one day and I was like, let me try this.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
blazing fire. You can picture that. And
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I was thinking of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where his cigar lights the tree on fire and it
Oh,
bursts
gosh.
it and he's on fire.
Just a crisp.
Yeah.
But like I said, I see it all the time, and it's the cycle. I think there's a real psychological battle with, like, if I don't go to a doctor, it's not a real problem.
Yes.
Versus where I try to tell people is like, wouldn't you want to, like, you can go to the doctor and you don't have to do shit.
Yeah.
At least you know and can make an educated decision on, yeah, I want to get some treatment, or no, I don't. But at least you know what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Opposed to this, if I
Yeah.
just don't go, it's not real.
Yes.
If you get to the point where you get to the point where you're aware of something's happening, now you can at least make a decision.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of just leaving it like in this gray area where it's like, yep, it's just going to bother. I just have a bad arm or a bad
I'm
leg
just
or
old
whatever.
and-
Or I'm just
Yeah.
old or
Probably it's just that old rotator cuff.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh,
Like,
rotor cuff.
I just can't-
My rotor cuff.
yeah, I just can't do that anymore, and I'm not even going to ever try. Like that's just
I went to a seminar once, and this question came up, and I asked, what do you tell the people, who are experiencing stuff like this, and they're trying to decide if they would go, and he said, ask them this, say, if your son or daughter was experiencing this, would you take them to the doctor? Well, yeah, we would have been last week. I thought, okay, well, why the hell are you not here?
Yeah, that's
So
good.
I would ask them that, if your son or daughter was experiencing this, would you bring them to the doctor?
I do that same question with breakfast when people
Yeah.
are like, oh yeah, I don't eat breakfast. I'm like, oh, would you send your kid off to take this big exam or have a sporting event? Would you send them unfed?
Yeah.
Well, no, we make, oh, okay. So maybe,
Perspective
would you show up to
changes,
your,
right? Yeah,
this race unfed?
yeah.
No.
I like that. That's another good one.
It just makes sense, if you're like headaches, oh gosh, people come in and I just get the regular headaches. Oh, what's a regular headache? Well, everyone gets headaches. Okay. How often do you get headaches? And I'll say, are they daily, weekly, monthly, or a few times a year? Probably a couple times a week. I'd be like, couple times a week? That's a lot. And I'd be like, do you have kids? Well, yeah, I have a daughter. Okay. If your daughter was getting the headaches that you got, what would you do? Well, we'd be at the doctor. I'd be like, okay, what's going on here?
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
Let me know what they tell you.
Yeah. I'll wait here to get back. Yeah.
I'll wait for the feedback.
You know what? I care about that more. Take care of the kid. We'll take care of you when you get back.
Yeah. So, that was awesome.
Yeah,
Tina,
cool.
you got any other questions for
No, I
Marcus?
don't. I mean, but I
How'd we
definitely
do? Off the cuff?
I think it was good.
Yeah, we flew.
I'll take out the word think it was good.
Yeah,
This
that's
was a
good.
good conversation, and I really enjoyed it and learned a lot. And I hope if anybody listens in today and they want to hear Dr. Marcus discuss any more topics,
Yeah, maybe we have him come back a little more often.
we have access to him, I think.
Definitely have access. Yes.
But this was good. So if you can think of a topic you'd like to learn more about, let us know, and we can see if we can get Dr. Marcus back on to share his knowledge with us.
Absolutely.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you,
lots
Marcus.
of fun. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
You got an outro for us?
Oh, God. Goodbye from the Weekly Pulse.